I was 4 years old when I first saw my mother cry. I didn't understand much about that, but I remember that day that had a deep mark on my heart. My father's body lay straight in a simple wooden box. People came touch my head and whisper words that meant nothing to me. I just knew something was gone. Something that was supposed to protect us. I didn't know then that his death was not just the end of his life, but the beginning of my struggle. After he was buried, silence fell out. Small hope. My mother stopped smiling. Food became less, and laughter disappeared completely. I was too young to walk, too small to lift anything heavy. But hunger doesn't ask your age. I still remember that morning when my mother handed me a small card and said, "Go Abdul, had the man at the mechanic shop. Maybe he will keep you fed." I nodded, even though I didn't understand. I just wanted to make her smile again. Mechanic shop was loud. The sound of iron hitting iron echoed through my bones. The air smelled of oil and sweat. The man who owned the shop looked at me like I didn't belong there. I asked me what I could do, and I said anything. He laughed, but he let me stay. That day I learned how to wipe the grease off metal tools and clean the floor. My hands were small, my body weak, but my heart wanted to prove I could help my mother. Days turned into months. My palms became rough. My feet started to ache. But each evening, when I brought a few coins or a piece of bread home, my mother's eyes softened. That was enough for me. I was no longer just a child, I was her hope. At night, I would hear other children laughing or running with kites, shouting, "Let's play." But my world was different. My toys were all nuts and bolts. My lullaby was the sound of mechanics turning and men shouting orders. And yet, I didn't hate it, because every gang of iron reminded me that I was fighting for something, for survival. When I turned 8, the shop owner started teaching me how to handle tools. He said, "Abdul, if you keep watching, you will never learn wholly, freely." My hands trembled, but I obeyed. The first time I cut a metal sheet straight, he nodded and said, "You have got to work your hands." That was the first compliment anyone had ever given me. It felt heavier than gold. Life really got easier. Sometimes I would burn my fingers. Sometimes I would faint in the heat. But I never stopped showing up. My mother's health was getting worse, and I could see the pain in her eyes. Each time she coughed, I wanted to tell her not to worry. But how could I, when even my voice trembled from exercise? But I was 12. I could repair small machines on my own. Customers started recognizing me. Some even said, "Small boy fixes better than grown men." I didn't smile when they said that, but deep inside I felt proud, because every compliment meant I could keep my mother alive for one more day. Then one night everything changed. My mother didn't wake up. I tried to shake her, call her name, cry in her eyes, but she didn't move. I sat beside her, whole night, waiting for her eyes to open. When sun rose, I realized I was alone. That morning, the world looked empty. I didn't go to the shop that day. I just walked the streets, barefoot, with no destination. People talk about pain like it's something that fades, but pain doesn't fade. It changes shape. It becomes part of you. After that day, I worked not because I had to, but because I had nothing else to hold on to. The machines became my families. The noise became my company, the heat my teacher. Years went by. I didn't notice when my ears started to pay, or when my back started to ache. I was too busy trying to keep life running. The world outside kept changing. New shops, new faces. But inside my small machine shop, time stood still. I never had the chance to go to school, but I learned everything about life through broken chance. I learned that pressure makes things stronger, that friction shapes metals, that mess does not always mean choice. Sometimes it means progress. Sometimes young guys would come asking for work. I would see myself in them. Hungry eyes, trembling voices, dreams buried under poverty. I would give them what I never had, patience and kindness. Because I knew how it felt to be small and scared in big, loud world. I told them, the machines do not care how old you are or how poor you are. If you respect it, it will work for you. Maybe I was not just fixing engines anymore. Maybe I was fixing broken spirits. People think success ain't about money, but when I look back, success for me was every single morning I didn't give up. Every night I came home with itching hands, but a quiet heart because pain didn't break me. It played me. There were days I wanted to stop, days when the sun felt too hot, the machines too heavy and life too unfair, but each time I thought of quieting, I hear my mother's voice in my head keep going, Abdul. Just one more day. That's why saved me every single time. And now, when I walk through the same shop, I see my old self in every corner. The 4-year-old boy wiping oil from the floor, the 12-year-old fixing his first dent, and the young man pouring his tears in what every version of me lives there. The machines still make my sense, but it sounds softer now, maybe because I have learned to listen differently. Sometimes people ask me, Abdul, how did you survive it all? I smile and say, because I didn't wait for an easier life, I learned to be stronger. Life never gave me luxury, but it gave me lesson. It taught me that even when you start with nothing, you can still become something if you don't stop working. When I see people complain about their problems, I want to tell them, you are not broken. You are being shaped. The world hates you not to destroy you, but to test how much you can handle. When things get tougher, it means you are closer to something. I have lived my entire life proving that. I was that boy had nothing, no father, no education, no luck. But today, I am that man who built his life from dust. I have fixed thousands of machines. But the one thing I'm most proud of fixing is myself. Sometimes I still look at my hands, the same small hands that once wiped oil off floors, and I realize these hands built everything I have. Not fame, not fortune, but respect, and that's something no one can steal. I tell every young worker who comes to me, don't curse your struggle. One day, equal me your story. Be cruel, look at your pain and quiet strength, keep going. Because I have learned that when a life gets hardest, that's when you are closest to your breakthrough. When your hand shake, when your heart feels heavy, when your world seems unfair. That's not and then. That's the moment you are being shaped into something stronger. I started my life in a world that didn't care whether I survived, but I turned that world into my teacher. Every mistake taught me discipline, everyone taught me courage, every loss taught me gratitude. Now when I closed the shop at night and the machines go silent, I sometimes whisper to my father, wherever he is, I made it, Baba. Not perfect in authenticity, but I made it. And maybe that's what life is really about, not about reaching lofty top, but surviving every fall, not about being the smartest, but being the one who never stopped trying. I was 4 when the world tried to break me, but I'm still a stronger, quieter, and more grateful than ever, because the truth is, pain was never my enemy. It was my teacher. It taught me that when life gets high, it's not punishment, it's be patient. Every storm I face my shaping me into the man I was meant to become. So if you are listening to this right now, if your life feels hard, if you feel like giving up, remember this. You are not weak, you are just is training. Every day you survive it is proof that you are stronger than yesterday. You may not see the light yet, but stay, just keep walking, keep living, because one day you will look back, just like I do now, and you will realize that every wound, every tear, every sleepless night was worth it. And when that day comes, you won't need applause. You just smile quietly and say, I made it. Because in the end, life is not about what you have. It's about who you become. And Abdul, the mechanic who started working at Ford, who lost everything but never stopped, can tell you one truth. When it gets toughest, that's when you are getting closer. So don't stop now. Keep going.